I was a disc jockey at age 17. Acting at the age of 21. New York City after grad school at Penn State University. Day jobs, as usual. Telephone sales, market research, drudgery, all of that stuff. Other things mixed in there. But basically a good regional theater stage career. All over the country. Anchorage to Philadelphia. Great roles, Shaw, Sam Shepard. A little bit of TV, and always in class. I've always been a student of acting and had classes of my own when I was teaching. Now I'm a lawyer here in Brattleboro, Vermont, a solo practitioner with an office on Main Street. I call this business Maxwell Lawyer to distinguish it from Maxwell Actor or Maxwell Disc Jockey, because I haven't lost those things. I carry them with me. Not necessarily into the courtroom, but now you can't help but keep at it. I've taught acting. I've even written about acting in my law review article at law school. And I've stayed close to my teacher from Penn State. Friend, mentor, father figure, at least he thinks he is. Richard Edelman, truly a remarkable teacher and director, and gave me some good paying jobs after grad school in plays he was directing. Several years ago, with the acting passion still stirring me, I got in touch with Richard. I had an idea for a book. I asked him to sit with me for interviews, and basically we sat over coffee for many, many hours, and I had this great idea, and we put each other to sleep.
It became clear that our juices weren't going to flow about what should be happening in a workshop without having a workshop.
We organized several workshops in New York City. Some of the actors had worked with Richard, some had not. And as things developed, it became clear we needed a group of actors who had a shared experience with Richard, a common vocabulary, a common technique. We decided to gather together a group of his students. Many of these people I hadn't seen in many, many years. From Richard's years at Penn State, I called Marilyn McIntyre, Carol Mansell, and C.C. DeWolf. And from his years teaching at Boston University, I called Tony Pasqualini and Kelleher Walsh. It was great to get in touch with these people again, and everyone was eager to meet and participate.
We have such a common background, and we have so many common issues. Not that our lives are the same at all, our personal lives are very different, but I think our sensibility as actors and our ability to recognize when the real deal is happening, I feel like we all have kind of similar bullshit meters.
It's just so much fun to work with somebody that you know so much about, and you're able to make fun of them, and it's like a wonderful marriage. It's like you get to just use everything and go straight for the soft part.
And it's very nice to come back and meet these old friends or these old compatriots and go through the wars again in a way, kind of relive the work in a certain way.
Getting up and doing it, that's electric. It's great.
When I got out of BU, I worked for Richard, actually. That was my first job, was at Penn State, working in the summer theater.
When I first got out of school, I worked in regional theater almost exclusively.
I was fortunate enough to immediately get to work at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C.
I left there finishing my MFA, and I went to a political theater in Minnesota for 2 years.
I got a job in Nashville Children's Theater.
I worked at Arena Stage, Williamstown Theater Festival, Philadelphia Drama Guild, Buffalo Studio Arena. I mean, I was in that was pretty much my career for the first 10 years or so.
My first equity job was up at Jiva Theater. I was with that company for a year. And then I went to the Guthrie, and I was at the Guthrie Theater for a year. I played Emily in Our Town.
And then I was at the New York Shakespeare Festival.
If I was at Playwrights Horizons, I did a little thing at the Public. I did something at the Vineyard Theater.
I came to New York. I fell immediately into commercials and did commercials for years. I mean, I was like God just saying, you are going to sell soap and dog food. That's just the way it is. And I fell into comedy and improv, and I was with Chicago City Limits.
Then did a lot of theater in New York. I worked at Manhattan Theater Club and Playwrights Horizons and American Place Theater, and I did a play on Broadway called Coastal Disturbances.
Then I went to London and I studied.
Then I got married.
Then my husband and I had a baby.
But I also got into a soap opera. It ended up being a 3-year contract, and it was just wild that I was doing that.
And so I started doing commercials, and I started doing so many commercials that when I did go to try out for something else, it was like, oh, you're the NyQuil girl.
And we decided, because we wanted to have kids, that we wanted to give Seattle a try.
And I thought, let's go to California.
But I never stopped doing theater. It just about, killed me to do the soap and to do off-Broadway or Broadway at the same time. But I would always remind myself, oh my goodness, what actor wouldn't like to be doing this?
I ran an acting studio that I started with several other wonderful directors and actors.
So then I just started working. I just kept working.
When I came to California, I had another baby, and
I decided to go to Los Angeles.
I really always wanted to try doing some film and television work, along with writing, which I'm also quite interested in. And I thought, well, maybe we could give it a try. Come down here to LA. I could keep some money coming in by doing the film and TV, and I could start to write, which is something I always longed to do.
So yeah, I've stayed out here because I've worked a lot in television and film, and I've done theater and all the other things.
And I've done a lot of I've done maybe 25 or so TV shows and some commercials.
And I came back to acting about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's been really busy and fun.
And this is also where I started teaching seriously. I just kind of had some things fall into my lap, and it's been great.
I'm working right now and doing this play that I wrote called Loyalties. So that's been running actually for 4 months.